Now speak to Sean Bell, who's a military analyst and a retired Air Vice Marshal, joining us from Birmingham this hour. Thank you for your time, sir. So we've seen escalations like this in the past between India and Pakistan in 2016 and 2019, but it didn't sort of result in this level of military escalation. Would you agree with that? And what's different this time around?
Yes, good morning, Doreen. I think, first of all, I'd say we've always got to be careful. There is the history of this conflict means there's always a lot of rhetoric around this, lots of claims and counterclaims. But what's actually happened on the ground, what weapons have actually been used, what damage has actually been caused, we have to be quite careful because both sides, both Pakistan and India, want to appear very robust. They want to message to their people that they're in control. And therefore, sometimes the reporting is a little bit less accurate than perhaps we would like. I mean, we go back all the way to 1947, so the sort of partitioning of the region post the Second World War. And the region of Kashmir has long been disputed ever since that. And there's been three countries, not two. It's India, Pakistan and China, all of which have vested interest in that region. And as you say, regularly these crop up. This latest round of action does appear to be a little bit more kinetic. There are more weapons appearing to be used. But of course, it's worth remembering that social media expands. We've got more and more access to people who have mobile phones. Therefore, we're seeing far more of it than we ever did before. And it is worth remembering that the region of Kashmir particularly is quite mountainous. It's quite difficult sometimes to find out exactly what happened. It's not like this is happening over the open plains of Europe somewhere. It's actually happening somewhere where it is quite difficult to report. But it does appear to be a bit of an escalation at the moment.
So what are both sides trying to achieve at this point, do you think?
Well, I'd probably answer that by what they're trying not to do. And neither side wants this to go to a nuclear conflict. I mean, there would be no winners in a nuclear conflict. And however abhorrent nuclear weapons are, they have undoubtedly ensured that neither side takes each other on militarily out over Kashmir. What they both, though, do is want to have a very robust action. And once these tit-for-tats starts, once there is an action that kills some people, those Indian tourists that were killed, suddenly both sides feel there needs to be a tit for tat. And it's quite difficult sometimes to stop that. And we are seeing a bit of an escalation. One of the trumps about the escalation is one of the reports, for example, that caught my eye was that there are reports that Pakistani military forces were moving towards the line of control. Well, that was seen by India as a potential escalatory move. But as a military guy, moving troops to the border can be offensive, but it can also be bolstering your defenses to make sure the other side doesn't invade you. So there is this misinterpretation sometimes of what we're seeing. But there is no doubt that at the moment, the rhetoric at least is trying to settle this down. And even Marco Rubio is trying to do his best just to dampen this all down, save face and try to de-escalate, which is actually what all the sides want to happen.
Look, speaking of defensive, you were mentioning that a moment ago. I mean, both countries in the recent past, in the past few years, have developed the size and range of their stockpile and their arsenal. Is this a deliberate defensive move to establish deterrence? And in your opinion, to what extent does nuclear deterrence shape the behavior of both countries going forward in this state?
Well, Irene, I think that's really the nub from a military perspective, the question. You know, I see very little prospect of the two sides actually going to nuclear campaign over this. But the quiet role of China in all this mustn't be forgotten. I was particularly struck that when the reports of the Indian attacks on Pakistan-administered Kashmir and also Pakistan were quite close to the border, and yet there were reports that several Indian aircraft have been shot down, and largely these are Western aircraft. And it was quite surprising that actually any aircraft would have been risked as a former fighter pilot. You'd send missiles to do these missions, not aircraft. But it does appear now that Rafale jets were shot down. Looks like that's the first time that French aircraft has ever been shot down. And what shot it down? It was a Chinese jet, a Chinese-bought J-10 fighter jet using Chinese missiles as well. And those missiles are incredibly capable, but the export version, which is what Pakistan will have used, is far less capable than China has actually got in its inventory. So what we're seeing here is China actually testing its missiles against Western aircraft, testing
Forgive me,
export
sir, I just
versions
have
which
to
are
ask
less
you, are these
capable.
confirmed reports? Because you had said that there are reports that you had seen. I mean, are they confirmed reports?
Well, I haven't seen their own eyes. There are pictures now of tail fins of the Rafale, and even the Indians haven't rebuked that. It looks the Americans have confirmed that at least, I think it's 3 of the Indian fighter jets were shot down, and there are reports, widespread reports, that actually it was the Chinese aircraft that shot them down. So I think on day one, when we first heard about these attacks, it looked very unlikely the fighter jets were involved and actually got shut down. Now it does appear they were. And from a military perspective, that paints a very different picture of what all the sides are actually trying to achieve here.
Okay, we will leave it there. Sean Bell, you're a military analyst and retired Air Vice Marshal. You're speaking to us from Birmingham in the UK. We thank you for your time.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.